let's see. Well, I've been working in the industry for about 13 years now. I graduated in University of South Alabama in Mobile, Alabama, with a computer science degree. And I was trying to find a job for a very long time, and I couldn't find anything until I started beta testing Dark Age of Camelot by Mythic Entertainment way back in the day. I got really involved with fan site work through Stratix. I was doing some IRC chat modding for them. I became a part of their testing program over at Mythic, and I was their class team, one of their class team leads for Camelot for a little bit, and then tried to get my foot in the door. And I finally got in as a customer service rep. Was there for a little while, and then went to QA. I did some producer work, but eventually went to systems design, kind of where I've stayed to this point. So after I left Mythic, 2007, I went to Turbine, was working on Lord of the Rings Online. I did some monster play work for them for Mines of Moria expansion, and then I was the systems lead for several years, until a couple years ago, almost exactly 2 years ago.
Oh, wow.
When I got this job at Carbine, and they wanted me to come in to, like, they had a lot of foundational design for PvP, but nothing really super fleshed out, and they wanted some help in getting that complete. And then now I have PvP, raids, dungeons, and adventures. My full team crew, they're pretty awesome, crazy folks. So
Awesome.
but it's fun.
Very cool. Sorry, guys, you couldn't hear me earlier. We are Grievance with Out of the Box, and we are interviewing Jen Gordy from Carbine. And then I have Ehvayne with me, and of course I'm Nightangel. So sorry about that. At least you could hear Jen. That was the most important part. So, well, Jen, that's really exciting because actually I've played every one of those games that you've listed. So, while I really enjoyed Lord of the Rings Online as well, I didn't get a chance to play too much of the monster play, but that was a fun game too.
Yeah.
So first I'm going to start out with asking you, what was your very first MMO that you ever played?
Very first MMO that I ever played would have to be Sierra's The Realm. So I remember my sister and myself begging my father to pick up copies of, I can't remember what computer game magazine it was, that had the Realm disc associated with it, because it had like 200 hours or something of free game time. So we would create trial accounts just so we could play, because he would never give us a subscription. It was really sad. Like, he was willing to pay like $5 for a magazine, but not like $5 a month or whatever for the subscription that it costs or something like that. Okay. But that was really my first opportunity, like going into an online RPG type space, learning how to do the basic combat stuff that it had, dyeing your clothes and crafting things and stuff. And then later on, when computers jumped forward in terms of technology, I started playing EverQuest pretty hardcore. So my sister would play with me occasionally, but then I ended up playing a ton more with some friends in various parts of the country. And it really got into that experience. I never got to do any kind of the planes raiding or anything like that, but it's a lot of fun. Played that up to, Velius. And that's when I got hooked on Camelot.
Nice.
I'm so glad you got hooked on Camelot. That's like my original addiction. It's why I'm a PvP girl. So
yeah, for me, it was really like the basic combat when I got in. Mm-hmm. I don't know why it hit me at this point, but I was playing an Albion character, and I was in the middle of a farm in Ludlow, I think, or something like that, just killing pigs. I'm like, this is the game for me. This is amazing.
I tried.
I don't know why it clicked like that, but then there were other moments too, like going through Mithra's Tomb, playing in Hibernia when they finally launched it, right towards the end of the open beta phase. The first time we actually got to see horses, and we were doing travel paths on horseback. That was amazing stuff. Like, I took screenshots, galore, but just about everything. I was crazy in love with it. So.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That was I tried EverQuest. It was not the game for me, but when Dark Age came out, I was like, yes, I love it.
Also extremely satisfying was my first kill in Thidranki, the low-level battleground.
Oh yeah.
That was crazy.
My desktop right now is still a screenshot from Galadoria.
Nice.
Photoshopped a little bit.
That was really like the first time I had actually really participated in MMO PvP before, because like EQs was very, duel-based, arena-driven type stuff. Right. I didn't play on the PvP server a whole lot. My friends weren't on there. And I loved FPSs, and I played those to death. Mm-hmm. But that first taste of like MMO PvP combat, where you're just so like different. Yeah, it's just the adrenaline rush. You're standing there stealth or whatever, and you're waiting for this guy to come by and get himself positioned in such a way so that you can just take that perf from the front, which is crazy.
Definitely. Go ahead, Ehvayne.
Thank you. So, what inspires you to want to become a video game developer? It's not really your run-of-the-mill job, so...
Well, at the time, like, growing up, I wanted to do a number of things. I wanted to be a veterinarian at one point. I wanted to go into biomedical engineering at one point. I actually almost did that. And I wouldn't be sitting here talking to you otherwise. I'd be in a hospital somewhere developing new procedures. But when Pixar movies really started taking off, I thought, you know what, this is really cool, and I really love computers, and I could probably do something like that. So what I was looking at, I was originally looking in that field to go into more of the graphics stuff, and then I found I couldn't hack it. I just suck at making 3D objects in Maya or 3D Studio Max or whatnot. So I thought about other ways I could potentially get involved, and then when the big MMOs like EverQuest and that come out, and you get a hang of playing them and figuring out game rules, and I used to do a little bit of D&D and stuff like that, and I've been console gaming for a long time, like Sega Genesis. I had Commodore 64 games before the console stuff came out, so I've been gaming for quite a while, and something finally clicked with me when I was trying to apply for various jobs. I was looking at like Age of Empires or for Ensemble Studios and trying to see if I could get a QA position there. I actually almost went to Turbine early because I had like Massachusetts paper in my hand with interview or with job positions opening for QA for them. I decided it was too far away. I was in Alabama. That's a long way away.
Oh, yeah.
And then when I get hooked on Camelot, I thought, you know what, I'm going to give it a try and see if I can at least break in. And I was having a hard time, like, getting my resume sent through. And, 3 a.m. one night, I'm doing IRC modding, and Mark Jacobs shows up in the chat room.
Nice.
And I'm like, okay, do you want me to close the chat room? Are you going to answer questions? He's like, no, I just want to chill out. I had a long day. And he and I get to talking, and he wants to know what I'm doing, and I tell him I've been submitting resumes to pretty much everywhere. I was looking at regular computer software companies. This was right after the .com boom, so it was really hard to find a job. And he just says, like, email me your resume. So I emailed it to him, and I didn't expect anything of it. The next day I get a call back from him. He's actually on the phone with me, and I'm literally about to freak out.
Wow. That's a fangirl moment.
So he said he handed my resume over to the CS director, and the CS director calls me back a couple of days later, does a phone interview with me, and then I have to fly it on my own dime because at the time Mythic had they were running on this much money left before they launched their title. So I flew out there and got a good studio tour, got to eat dinner with a bunch of folks who are later going to become some of my best friends. And that's all she wrote pretty much.
That's awesome.
Managed to stay with my ex-husband's aunt at the time. Stayed with her for a few months before getting a place of her own, and been in the industry ever since. It's crazy. It's not what I expected to do, to be honest with you. Like I did an internship at a printer company. I was testing printer drivers on things like on applications, so like Corel Draw and Photoshop and Microsoft Word and Excel and on different operating systems and like making test plans for all those things. And I'm like, I don't want to smell like toner for the rest of my life.
Yeah, I can relate to that. I actually went to school to be a vet also, so I was in pre-vet classes, and building up to that, I actually worked for different vets, and I was like, yeah, smelling like dog is not how you, or bleach, it's not how you want to spend your whole rest of your life, but yeah, so I feel you.
I had a great major. Majored in music, can't do anything with it.
It's all good, though. So you mentioned that you played, you liked the drinking in Dayak. Was that your first MMO that you fell in love with PvP in, or did you have another?
I really think so. Like EverQuest, I didn't get to do it a whole lot. I went to the arena in the Lake Wrath area, I believe. God, I can't remember. I can't believe I remember most of these names. I'm surrounded by zone and region and story and NPC names every single freaking day. I don't know how this stuff sticks. I really don't. But I tried it there, and it wasn't clicking with me. I don't know if it was EverQuest's combat lent itself more to PvE than it did PvP or what, but yeah, it was MMO combat was my first taste of that was with Camelot. I remember sitting up on top of relic keeps and watching the waves of people come at you, and it's crazy. Or the mile gate in Ehvayne, having a blast in there.
Oh yeah, it's great.
Of course, at that point, it was kind of like you tab target, cast a spell, and pray.
Or you get like me and be suicidal, run in and PBAE everything, and then run out.
That's pretty much what I would do. Go,
kamikaze.
Hey, there was one night we were taking, or rather, they were trying to take a tower from us, and I'm playing my champion. I'm like realm rank 8 or so at this point, and I'm like, you know what? We're going to lose this tower, so let's just kill as many of them as we can. And me and my husband jumped down, I bane dumped, and we killed probably 20 people right there at the base of the tower. It probably died, but it was totally worth it. So what would you say is your favorite aspect about PvP, either in Dark Age or now in Wildstar, just period?
My favorite aspect is still the initial kind of meeting that you have across two players of opposite factions. Camelot did this really, really well because you didn't even know their character name. You only met them in certain areas. You were in the frontiers, you were in the battlegrounds. They didn't mix the home realm stuff at all. So it was very much like a xenophobic type fear that gets preyed upon for this kind of psychological response or whatnot. But that guy looks totally different than me. He's got a red name. He's not talking the same language, and he just swung an axe at me. So I'm gonna kick his butt. So the whole realm identity thing was really, really strong in that game. That's what I really, really appreciated. You can get a little bit of that feeling with new games out like Wildstar now, but there was that extra layer of realm separation for the PvE experience. I think that made that very, very clear, very distinct. But
definitely.
I mean, I'm having a blast now. Wildstar, I've got a level 50 engineer, and going through Crimson Badlands is pretty hilarious because I'm on a PvP server. You get the type of person who just wants to do the quests, and he's going to kind of aim his telegraph to the side a little bit and make sure he doesn't hit you, but still get the credit. And then I'm just like, I'm going to kill you.
It's like, all sights are on you now.
I play a hybrid healing medic, so I'm just unkillable. By the way, Frost, you owe me. Just saying. But no, it's great. I love the medic in this game.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. What do you consider to be your most influential or important contribution to the PvP in Wildstar?
I don't know if at this point I can point to one specific thing. I think a lot of what was needed when I came on was just some organizational thought around the whole thing. Like we had tons of different battleground layouts, tons of different types of prototypes that were in various stages of completion, but nothing really tying it all together. So I was kind of the ratings conversations and the prestige stuff, and then having the dueling intertwined with this, with the world PvP and the different rule sets associated with it. Like all of those different pieces had to be built up. Mm-hmm. So I've basically touched every single element that's associated with it. And I don't know if I can pinpoint one thing outside of, like, in order to make this all work, in order for us to get the first prototypes in place, we had to have a type of match sort of referee or system that eventually Group Finder hooks up to and does its matching stuff. And to get that in super early and get it tested and continue to iterate on it over so long has been one of the things that's, I think, a really good strength of our system. Because not a lot of people roll out with that right at the door.
Right.
But I felt it was necessary, especially since we didn't anticipate the kind of support from players. We didn't anticipate that maybe loads would be good enough. We wanted to make sure that in any case that we could have some healthy matching going on. And then on top of that, like being able to take Kevin and work with him to try to pinpoint out the types of battlegrounds that we think would be good for launch as good experiences that are similar but not necessarily totally alien. So you can get in and kind of get a feel for what's going on really quickly, and then we can build off of that with the stuff that we're planning on doing post-launch. It's all planning, really. Planning and coordination and getting some engineering support, getting art support, getting animation. It's just it's like being a conductor for a huge orchestra sometimes. You got to tell people what exactly is needed when, so everything kind of sounds good at the end of the day.
Cool. So. Well, the system came together wonderfully. It's so easy to just jump in a match, and 80% of the time it's going to be a close match, and you're really going to enjoy it.
Yeah. We had a lot of fun. I know that much.
So was it difficult switching from more of a focus on PvP to more group content like Adventures in Dungeons and PvE content that way?
So this is kind of a relatively new role for me, but it's also the same sort of thing that I had been doing with the PvP experiences before. This is really just coordinating a group of folks to do some really, really good content. So we're talking about stuff that internal that you guys don't necessarily see. Like I'm talking about getting good qualitative and quantitative testing done before the stuff actually hits. We're trying to streamline our launch pipeline so that we have enough time to do the art and animations effects. So pretty much laying everything down on the field. Making sure that we're getting feedback at all stages from the people, internal, design direction, whatnot, going. It's a different leap for me in terms of, like, this is not stuff that I'm been in charge of in the past, because I've done a lot of systems oriented work. But it's fun. I've done this kind of, I've experienced this from a player's perspective many, many times, because I like doing both. I rated the crap out of WoW. It's not unfamiliar term or terrain or whatnot. It's just the design direction, the structure, the flow, like all that gets pretty much the same throughout, and it's just helping us drive through that and make sure we have a high quality bar. And so forth. So it's more of it's not glamorous at this particular position. I'm not sitting here like creating, angels and fluffy bunnies and unicorns out of my head. Do it. This is me trying to encourage that team to be creative and give us a good pipeline to make that happen. We've got some super talented folks. So it's just management, really. At the end of the day, management, leadership stuff. So
That's awesome.
I still think it's cool. Some people don't like.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's like, there are where you have elements of PvP your PvP experiences that can bleed over into PvE elements, and is there something like that you've seen a lot of from as a player that you can carry over into the gaming?
I mean, most of it's technical at this point. Like, we do some cool things in PvP that some of the guys want to borrow in terms of our public event support or whatnot for their game, for their standpoint. We talk to each other a lot about what makes various pieces of the content fun or progress, or feel like you're progressing in difficulty throughout some of the things. Some of our adventures guys are willing to talk to the PvP guys and say, like, look, we've got this World of Wilds adventure. It's a MOBA-ish style. We can try to do something where we could make a PvP version of it. So sure, yeah, we'll throw that on the investigation plate.
That would be
right?
Awesome. I love World of
Like, this is the kind of interactions that we can now do a little bit easier because we're one big team.
Right.
Our dungeons guys are able to leverage a little bit of the new public event technology we got for PvP and use it in a completely different way. Mm-hmm. They often will give us when they request different kinds of rooms and art pieces and stuff, we'll kind of look at that and say, oh, I could use that for PvP. Open world content could possibly use for as an adventure space if we do X, Y, and Z to it. So yeah, I think it's just a large communication structure now. So hopefully it will pan out well, and we'll have a lot of cross training opportunities as well.
I think that's really important, and I think that because of that, you have a lot more continuity throughout the game when things kind of blend in like that.
Yeah.
So, very cool.
So, from your perspective, what would you say is the most challenging aspect of creating group PvP, like Adventures and Dungeons? PvE, I mean, not PvP. Sorry.
I think for pretty much both environments, actually. It was going into an unknown with the way we do our combat systems. They're very different from other MMOs. Most of us have come from other MMOs as designers of those sorts of things. You kind of need to look at it with a little bit of a different eye. The telegraph play that we do for Dungeons and Adventures and raids is obviously takes advantage of that fact. We wanted to do things where portions of your character's abilities, like CC, for example, actually meant something with the boss encounters and things like that. So a lot of our core combat philosophies really dictated the current results of what you see for our combat systems. And that includes PvP too. Like, our first iteration of Walatiki Temple had really condensed choke points and things like that, and it just doesn't work with huge telegraph play. So we had to make an iteration where we spread all of these things out, and we introduced more line of sight blocking elements in order to change that dynamic a little bit, to make it fit better. We allow you to double jump the room over anything, force move over stuff within limitations. I'm so sick of people in this corner.
Right. So that's when you get the different height elements, like I guess in Walatiki. Yeah. So you got the bridge that goes over to the middle that's kind of elevated and stuff like that for the line of sights.
A lot of our boss rooms are kind of designed with the telegraph play in mind. You'll see this a little bit with Genetic Archives. The Kurlak encounter has massive telegraphs that kind of allow the pillars on the sides to be protection elements and things like that. So they do a lot of iteration with art to get the good feel for the boss encounter itself. I love X89 with the falling platforms.
Yeah.
see that much in other games, you know, but we have the ability to do that. And you get to take advantage of it with different kinds of force moves as well. So, yeah, I can't wait to see what comes out. I have a little bit of a forward forecast just on the stuff that I've been playing and getting feedback on. I hope you guys really liked the stuff that will be coming out soon for them. So.
We're excited.
We got to do a lot of fun stuff. It's really cool.
See, that's awesome. That's like the best job when you can actually just have fun and sit there and just play and, you know, figure out what does and doesn't work and work on those elements like you were saying, that, you know, the line of sights and
for a lot of that is actually like Dungeon Team will sit there and they have this huge whiteboard on the side of their cube area. They'll bring it over, start drawing squares on it, trying to figure out how this particular encounter will be laid out. They'll turn around when they're doing some dev and say, hey, I need a powwow. I need to figure out like what's the best way we can do this, and does this make sense? So they're very, very communicative with each other, just trying to bounce ideas back and forth to make sure that, like, at the end of the day, they want to make sure this stuff is fun, and then people are going to run the crap out of it, you know?
Oh, absolutely.
That's awesome.
So you have a lot of storyboards, and do you guys have like art sessions kind of like in the movies, or how does that work for you?
So what ends up happening is if it's a dungeon or adventure, and if it's a new space, then we'll do a gray map. This can be very simple squares, grids of these are the types of rooms that we want to do, sort of thing. And we'd sit down with our art director and the art team and figure out, like, you know, these would be boss room areas, and this is what we kind of want to do. And the narrative crew says that this would be the lore behind the thing, and they create magic. You know, awesome. I don't profess to know much of their part of the process. They sit there and they just, you know, like the stuff that you see in Datascape, if you haven't seen any screenshots or anything like that, it's just amazing. They do some of our best work, pretty much.
Awesome.
That's awesome.
We take that, and then they come back to us with like a gray box version, where we won't necessarily have textures or anything on it, and then we'll do a little bit of spawning if we need to determine spacing for boss rooms or get the prototype set up, and then just kind of work from there. And then the final layers are all the texture paints and everything else that is applied to it. But it's really fun.
Very cool.
I say that a lot, but I mean, like, it's not every day where you walk into a company and you're not working on tax software. You're working on a game that people are actively playing now, and you want to come up with the next big thing for them. So
awesome.
Super cool.
Yeah, absolutely. We're geeking out over here.
We're like,
oh, I can't wait for the next one. What is your favorite thing about Wildstar group content?
Favorite thing about Wildstar group content? You know, I like that for some of these things you have to really think about what you're doing. Healer has to think about where he's going, where he's navigating around. I'm playing a tank right now, so as a tank I have to make sure that I'm keeping the boss and his telegraphs where he's supposed to be, which is a little bit different from other, you know, sort of tank roles that have been in previous games. I have actually never played a tank in the other ones. I wasn't interested until this one. It's a more active role. I like feeling like it's more active during the entire combat session, I guess.
You have more control of the mob versus
there's more control of the mob. There's ways that I can get bonus damage on top of that. You know, the healing. I was healing as a medic in open beta. I'm like, this is crazy, but this is so much fun. It's not.
It's wonderful.
The passive. I'm just looking at bars and
exactly. You have to. Well, I mean, like for instance, you're playing and you're a medic healer, and you only have a short conal distance for your heals mainly, and so you've got to worry about, okay, well, is the warrior gonna dodge left or right out of that telegraph? Where should I aim my cone? Where should I stand? It does make a big difference.
Yeah.
Well, then you get in PvE and you're like, you know what? I have to heal the tank, so you're either in the heals or you're not. Sorry.
And then, I've been doing a whole lot of PvE experience right now for my character on live, because this was like a lot of content like this I didn't really get a chance to touch because we were busy with creating the battlegrounds, creating the arenas, getting the Warpots stuff and all the plugs associated with the Warpots content done. So I didn't get a chance to really mess around a whole lot in open beta. I got to around mid-30s, I think, on a couple characters and did a couple of dungeons, but didn't really get to sit down and really enjoy the content flow, going through the spaces and doing ship hands and doing adventures and dungeons and things like that. I am really, really getting a kick out of what the other teams have created. I love doing PvP, and I'm really, really proud that it's been pretty popular. But I love our PvP experience, our PvE experiences as well. So I'm kind of at a dilemma right now because I'm level 50, and I just realized I don't have updated PvP gear.
I'm in the same boat.
Fortunately, I'm crafting, so I just need more money. Maybe I can buy a cred and sell it. Money, so I can do the PvP gear and so I can play.
Nice.
But I'm on every night. It's so sad. Like I'm here working on the game, and I come home and I'm playing the game for an extra 4 or 5 hours.
There's nothing wrong with that.
That shows you love what you do and you care about the game, and that's awesome. So that's what we like to hear.
Yeah.
Because when the devs stop playing their game, then that's bad. That's bad news. But I know how you feel. It's just so much, and you guys put so much of your humor that you have within the office, and from what I've seen of yourselves, you put so much humor into the game and so many Easter eggs and so many things. There's always something to explore and find. Like the caretakers, where they're standing and they're saying, the labyrinth, it's basically labyrinth. I absolutely loved it. I was like, oh, it's great.
And when I got the Resonators meow meow to drop,
yeah.
I just about had a Thor-loving heart attack.
It was brilliant. I loved it.
No, I really think that's probably due to the narrative direction that we decided to take the game, the art, the lore behind it. I just think it lends itself better to opening the door for that source of humor, which is great because I think we're full of nuts here, me included. But the other games I've worked on, like Camelot had, even though it was kind of like a cartoonish art style, was still very serious about what it was trying to accomplish. And, the tone stayed that way a little bit. It's you're preparing for war. You're doing this, you're going on the frontier and you're taking stuff over, defend your realm or attack the other guys. And then when you go to Lotro has a very strict sort of IP to work with. So a lot of that game was reflecting what Tolkien had created, and trying to stay true to, I guess, his tone. And I think that team did an excellent job in doing that. It's a game that people love to live in more than anything, I think. But this one, you from the get-go in the trailer, there's a little spark of humor there that we can just play off of like crazy. So we did.
Right.
So what would you consider to be the hardest boss in the veteran dungeons? Since you've done so much of them this time around.
I haven't actually been in many veteran dungeons yet. So I'm at the 2-minute step for Silver Adventures. Got them all except for Malgrave. So Malgrave is tonight.
Woohoo!
I already have a plan, see? That's tonight. Tomorrow night is Dungeons. I am guessing I am probably going to be stonewalled against something in Sanctuary of the Sword Maiden. I've done a little bit of Kelverath and Stormtalon vet in testing in-house, but it's a completely different beast when I do it. So a couple of days I'll let you know.
Please do.
Stormtalon is a beast, I will say that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We tried to do Skullcano leveling up. And I think we got 2 bosses in. It's the Red Moon guy in the middle.
Oh, yeah.
I haven't done that one.
I haven't done it, but I've watched it.
We kind of got stuck at him. He died like 4 or 5 times, and then the server went down for maintenance. And I'm like, yeah, we're just going to have to cut that one for a little bit. So we actually haven't been back to Skullcano since. So it should be interesting to go through that again.
I didn't do enough of the dungeons leveling up because there's just so much stuff to do and so much content to cover that, like, you end up leveling up before you've gotten to do the dungeon. It's like, well, I guess I'm going to have to go back and do that. But that's a good problem to have. So.
My sister has been playing with me, and she got her character level 50, and I am super proud of this because she has never gotten a character in any of my games except for Wildstar to endgame, to Elder Game.
That is awesome.
So I was jumping up and down when I saw that she had leveled, and she wants to do dungeons all the time.
That's pretty good.
That is awesome.
She dies a million times, and then she swears up and down that she can't play the game crap, but she loves it.
See, that's awesome, and that's when you know you've done it right, because when they're hungry for more, they know it's like, it's so frustrating, but you know you're gonna finish it. You gotta get through it, and that's always fun, and that's fun and exciting. But I'm like Ehvayne, I went through leveling, and I was just having fun just looking at the new content in the next level zone, and I really wanted to finish that up and move on to the next area. I was like, oh wait, there's adventures, there's dungeons, I haven't done any of them.
There's everything, and then when you get to level 50, you get to level 15, and you're stuck there for 2 days because you have to decorate your house.
Yes, absolutely.
It is a moral imperative. You can't just put everything in the category ball. I thought I could do that because I did that during beta. I'm like, I don't care about my house. I'm just going to put stuff in it wherever and then just go and PvP. Yeah, I've spent probably about 3 plat on my house.
I made a vow that I wouldn't spend money on my house until I hit level 50 and that I was just going to decorate with stuff that dropped. And I actually did that. But the day I hit level 50, I had to go buy a 60 gold Hugelhenge fat kit because I have to growls. So I did make it to 50, just not much further than that.
I got to replace my Far Side one, so I should do the Henge. Yeah, I decided to only. I was kind of like you. I'm like, okay, so when I started this out, I'm just going to have my rocket house at first, and then I decided I didn't want a rocket house. I wanted the casting house, so I put the casting house down instead. I'm like, okay, that's it. Now, as I'm questing and doing challenges and whatnot, I'm just going to pick up stuff and then put them in my house, and I had to have them such a certain way and the thing. So it turned into, oh my god, I spent money on drapes and Mike, and
I ended up with a lot of RN furniture drops, and so I've been saying that my Makari is in touch with her nature side, or that I kill the hippies and steal their furniture. You know, whichever.
There you go.
I love you, hippies.
So
my sister and I decided to start over again with a pair of Chua. So we have, she has a Chua spell slinger and I have a Chua medic. So we're running around and we get to level 14 or 15 finally. We finally got out of Ehvayne. Ehvayne. And we went back to the capital city and we decided we were going to share a plot. So she made me her roommate. And then I mailed myself some gold from my alt, or from my main. And we put down the Chua house, and now we have staircases leading up to 3 levels of Chua house. And she's like, how did you do all this?
That's awesome.
Some chairs out and everything, and she's just happy.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay, well, I want to ask you this. In your mind, and from what you've played so far, What do you think is the most sought after raid boss for war plots at this point?
So there hasn't been many war plots run right now. So I don't actually know. We've actually been taking a really good look at the stats and seeing what kinds of improvements we can make. We've got Kevin Muffin Man has been making some proposals about what to do to kind of make it more popular. There's a little bit of a gap because 40-man raids aren't getting run much either because of the amount of people that you need to get it run. It's kind of the same thing with the war plot stuff. So I don't know if there's going to be anything out there right now that's been heavily sought after. I think people are just getting in, trying it out when they can. They're organizing some events and things like that in order to get people to queue up at specific times so they can guarantee a match and things like that. So, but in the meantime, we're sitting down and trying to figure out like what we can do to make that better.
Awesome. I'm looking forward to getting into the war plots, but oh man, like the attunement process, getting through to be able to raid, I'm just like, oh, it's gonna be a while.
That's kind of my goal. Like I wanted to get to 50. I wanted to go through the attunement process. I wanted to try to experience some of the raiding, maybe with somebody who doesn't know who I am. So it would be fun to get their kind of feedback, not knowing that it's getting straight to a dev, and then
the best way.
And then go through the PvP and making sure I'm queuing up for war plots every day because I want to see what those matches are looking like for myself. I've got a lot of people in here that are level 50 and they participate in some matches, but they don't tell me all the things they need to do because they're busy running around killing people instead of paying attention to the other stuff. Pay attention to the other stuff, please. But yeah, I want to be able to taste it all, pretty much. So that's why I'm spending 5 hours a night at my desk when I get home.
Well,
and the fact that I have to I have to open my boombox every day.
Yeah.
And I have to do my daily for my crafts. So I can get my data thing, data ration or something like that, whatever it's called. And I have to do my dailies because I need the gold in order to craft.
Yeah.
And then I have to do my attunement steps for dungeons. Yeah,
there's a lot to do.
Well,
yeah, there's so much
I need a
to do.
checklist.
It's like nightly. I need to do this and
Just
this.
start
And
going down the list.
yeah, absolutely.
So we're dying to know, has Frost challenged you to any duels lately?
No.
Oh, fail.
Oh,
Wiki was here visiting a couple days ago, and they told me that I should duel Tony, and Tony just quivers in fear.
I need a vine of that.
And then I walk over to him. He's like, "No, don't kill me."
Oh yeah,
I
that
told
needs
him
to
I
happen.
wanted a vine of you guys whistling Frozen song. I never got it. He's a slacker.
You know what? I can't believe we had that competition at PAX East for the Dula Dev thing. I can't believe I've won.
That's awesome.
It's kind of crazy.
That's awesome. Well, Jen, I wanted. Oh, go ahead, Ehvayne.
Oh no, I was just saying it's all those matcha skills.
Absolutely. Well, Jen, I wanted to just thank you so much for taking your time. I know it's late, and we just really appreciate talking with you tonight. And I know our listeners, I hope, have enjoyed the interview. And we're looking forward to more content and seeing what you guys are putting together and knowing that your oversight and everything is going to play a huge part of it. And I really appreciate the fact that you're getting in the game and you're wanting to play all the elements, and that way you have the better aspect from how it's playing in game. And so we really do appreciate it.
Got a bunch of guys with me who are doing pretty much the same thing because, I mean, it's at the end of the day, it's a game that we love to play too, and we want to make sure that it stays fun. So
You guys have
we're gonna
worked
do our
so
darndest.
You've worked so hard to put out something that has the elements of a typical MMO that people enjoy, but it still has something different that brings new people in. And I think the combat system is definitely one of those things. It's probably my favorite thing about the game.
Absolutely. All right. Well, thank you again, and good night, everybody, and we'll see you next time. Thank you very much for joining us.